I'm Julie with Jaybird Yoga, and today I want to show you how to have a home workout that's close to the equivalent of what you might have been doing at the gym and using the things that you have around the house. Because if you're like a lot of people, you're missing out on those weights and other things you're used to having. And good news is we can substitute with a lot of things here at home. Well, first things first, let's look at what we'll be replacing. Now, you might be used to using things at a gym, like a kettlebell, and those are really great, but we'll be able to create something that's going to be similar to the actions of a kettlebell that you're used to using. You might, at home, have a hand weight or two, and often we do have them at home. We work out, maybe they're not very many of them, and maybe they're of a lower amount of weight than what you're wanting to have as far as a workout. And also, you might have a strap or two. Sometimes people get these as part of having had some physical therapy, and sometimes you're not really sure of what the strap strength is relative to a weight. And the good news is, if you have one that has a brand name on it, you can often look up on a website and find out what that brand particular stretch capacity is as far as the weight that it gives you. Some of them might be some pretty thick bands, longer lengths, and that's great. And as I said, that'll give you the equivalent of some workout. But also, you might have ended up at home with nothing at all. And the good news is there's things around the house that can be the equivalent of weights. Now, in your pantry, you probably have collected some food. And a simple thing is a can of about this size. Now, this is a can, happens to be of coconut milk, but often it's going to have a can of this size will be soup. And one of these cans is going to weigh approximately 1 pound. Now, I've marked these because that lets me know when I'm working with something what that is. And so if you're looking for a lightweight, probably a soup-sized can would work really great. A slightly bigger can, this one happens to be crushed pineapple. It's going to be about 1.5 pounds. And so that's just a little bit heavier, but again, might work for you. And something that has a lot of density, oh hey, peanut butter. About almost 2 pounds, so that's right under 2 pounds for this one. So we're coming up in weight, but still maybe not the equivalent of weights that you're used to using. Now here's the good news. You get perhaps a quart of bleach, and we're dealing with something that is coming right at about a 4-pound weight. It's also got a little handle on it, and that's rather nice because not only can that be used for things like bicep curls, with the handle on it, you can also create actions much like using a kettlebell. Just make sure the top is securely fashioned so you don't splash yourself with bleach. Now, you may also have collected some gallons of water. Now, they come in different shapes and sizes. This one's nice because it's a refillable jug, and it's also got a nicely shaped handle. And here again, not only can it use for strict working like that, it can be used as a kettlebell, so a replacement for a kettlebell. Not exactly the same, but not a bad option either. Here again, tighten the top. And if you had a full gallon, which is an 8-pound weight, you could also create different amounts of the fluid in there. This one happens to be 8 pounds. Depending on what your container is made of, your weight might be a little bit heavier or a little bit lighter. Now, if you're thinking, okay, I want something more than that, well, also, around your house, quite possibly, you will find things like this, a brick. Okay, now bricks weigh different amounts, and so you'd have to sort of measure what they are. And I would tell you, you don't want to necessarily be lifting a brick. Number one, it's dirty, and second of all, you don't want to drop it. You probably have several of these boxes, and as long as the boxes have been left outside for a few days or sanitized, they're perfectly fine to use. And you fill that up with a number of bricks. I put enough in here that this is about a 5-pound weight. But what you'll need is then a reusable bag so that you don't have to lift this up in an awkward way. And that's the problem. Some of these weights get to be fairly big. You put this into a reusable bag, and what you have is something that you can easily hang on to. So now this 5-pound weight, I could use it as a bicep curl. I could also stretch it upward and use it somewhat like a kettlebell. So that's going to be helpful as well. Thing is, you want to make sure that whatever you're using, the bottom is going to hold securely. And I didn't just fill this up with rough shaped bricks that could tear the fabric. I put them in a box first. Now, this bag is one size. There's also some smaller bags around. And if you find that you want to double up, let's just say that you're wanting to have a significant amount of weight, I'll put my my gallon in here, and there's enough room that I could slip the 4-pound in there. I just got a 12-pound weight. But here again, I've got to make sure that what I'm using is not going to bag tear out. But you may find that you've got, instead of these type bags, maybe there's a piece of suitcase or something like that that's small enough but very sturdy, and then you're starting to create now some action. And indeed, this could be used as 12 pounds up. A little unwieldy, but you'll get used to it, and you won't be missing out on the workouts. So that's the kind of equipment that you might have around the home that you can create for yourself, and that is a great way to have what you need to create a workout. But I'm also going to show you some other methods that are going to use body weight that will allow us to create a really adequate at-home workout. Okay, well, first things first, we want to get warmed up for our workout. And even though you might be at home, you want to treat it as if it's a gym. You need some space around you that you can move your body. And I also highly recommend that you wear shoes. You may have a pair of shoes that you'll sort of designate as an indoor shoe. That way you don't have to worry about tracking things in from outside, and you can use it as your workout. And it's a good idea to have shoes on when you're doing a workout. Just like at a gym, you might drop something on your foot. Goodness knows we don't want to do that. But we want to prevent any tear of the skin. And just because you're at home doesn't mean that you want to give up on the safety things that you would do. Now, for working out, let's make sure our body's ready for it. So we're going to stand with our feet about hip distance, and we're going to begin to spin the upper body back and forth, and that's going to loosen us up a little bit, ease some of the tension out of our back, out of our shoulders, start to warm the body and make it ready for the workout. So we go back and forth a few times with the spin, and that's going to help rotate the spinal structure. And then we're going to warm up the shoulders just a little bit more. So take the arms up and then bring the arms down. So we're going to go an up and down method with that. Nice throwing it downward. Starting to feel the action at the top of the shoulder. And remember, don't do anything in the warm-up that might make you feel that you're increasing your discomfort. But it's a great way to alert yourself to areas that might be a little bit troubled. And if you haven't been working out for a while, spend a little bit more time in the warm-up than you might normally. Now we're going to bend our knees a little bit. We're going to rock our weight back onto our heels and then forward onto our toes, because we're alerting our body that we're going to be doing things that will be taking us out of balance. And so we do that back and forth, but then we put one foot forward in our action. We come forward onto the toes and then move back onto the heels. And so that's sort of knocking us out of balance. This is a great warm-up action for many other activities aside from just working out. And then we'll put the other foot in the forward position, going up onto the toes and then back onto the heels. But we want to be specific about the areas that we're going to be using here. And so let's get a nice warm up for chest muscles. And so take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, bring the palms together, push them firmly together, and feel the contraction in your chest muscles as you take the arm all the way up. All that's an exhale. And then the inhale is when the arms draw apart. And we'll do that again. Nice firm pressure. And then we inhale. And we do it again. Nice firm pressure. But then we're going to go from one side to the other. So start on one side, firm pressure across, exhaling, and then inhale. And we'll do it again, firm pressure, and then inhale. Now we'll go from the other side. We'll make firm pressure, and again inhale. Practice your deep breathing. And again. Good, now let's warm up the shoulders more. Lift up the chest and squeeze back the shoulder blades. Reach the arms back with a nice exhale, shoulder blades drawn together, and then inhale, shoulders going forward. So if you can't link the arms together, you can just have them back, reaching back, exhale, forward, inhale, and we'll do it once again, pulling back, exhale, and forward, inhale. Good. Now feet a little wide. Press the feet and knees out. You want to engage the outer hip and pull in your core firmly. Keep the chest lifted as you drop those shoulders down, but keep your pelvis right in the center, tilting to one side, and then taking your chest and your arm and lifting up in a stretch. Inhale, exhale, lift yourself out of that. Press out those feet, pull in the belly, chest up and shoulders down. We're going to tilt the other way. We're going to take the arm up. We're going to lift up. We're going to stretch up and inhale. Exhale, pull up and come out. Now we're going to take our feet into a wider stance. Get a good arch to those feet. Lift up the chest and shoulders and bend through the knees. Bring the hands down onto the knee. And then just take a shoulder reach across. Now keep your knees separated. Don't bring them together. Stretch gently. Multiple areas in the stretch. Don't overwhelm yourself. And then come back up and reach across the other way. Breathing deeply. And then come back up. First side again. Across we go. Breathe into the ribs. Coming out of that. And reach across and breathe into the ribs. Now coming out of that. Now we're going to take our hands down, and if you can't get all the way down to the floor, put something underneath you, but we want to shift weight to one side. Now our goal is to stretch the inner thigh. If you're not feeling much stretch, you can work the foot out a little bit more, so a gentle stretch to that inner thigh region. And then we'll come across the other way, gentle stretch to the inner thigh region. Don't overwhelm it. First side again, hips can be higher or lower, stretching gently. And then again, stretching gently. Now coming to center, we're going to lift the hips until we're feeling mild stretch, but you adjust the bend of the knee. The more the knee is bent, the less stretch. Work to let the head and the arms hang comfortably. And then if you're comfortable, you can sway side to side, either hands staying down or loose. Breathe deeply. A little bit of twist, one arm down and the other up, twisting gently, breathing. And then we'll switch, breathing. And then we'll come to center, hands to those knees. We're going to lift ourselves back up again. And we're going to step our feet now slightly wider than hip distance. We're going to practice a few squats. Now in the squat action, we want the shoulders and the hips traveling down. We don't want to feel any resistance from the knees. We're going to let the arms reach forward to counterbalance us, but put the weight back at the heels. And the arms come forward as we go into the squat. Keep those knees separated and then press down. You don't have to go any lower than you want to go. Let those knees tell you how to go. So the hips and the shoulders travel downward. But now those arms are very helpful, and if they're not in play like that, instead we cross as we come down, we're going to feel a little more difficult to keep the weight back on those heels. So keep the weight traveling backward. Don't overweight the toes. Don't go any lower than you want. And if we do an action that creates extension, just by bringing the hands upward, we've got more extension in the back, and it's going to work the legs harder. We're going to have to work to keep the weight back on our heels. Now that's good. And as we finish that, we've got a nice flush of warmth probably going out through the body, and that is a good one. As I said, if it's been a while since you've worked out, you may want to do a little bit more of a warm-up. But now we can switch over and begin to do a series of exercises.